Gentlemen, welcome to the Legit Football NFL podcast. It is your host, Kevin Phillip Fox, in his country of origin. I'm talking America, baby. I'm back. The diehards can recognize the purple lighting, meaning that I'm back in the land. And I couldn't be happier to be welcoming in the homie, the Monday guy, NFL Stats, Jimmy Ray. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Great to feel. I love to be a Monday guy.
You are. You know
Starting
why?
off the week right. It
You know
feels
why?
better. I don't know.
You're the Monday guy because we need something to make Monday better.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
God.
I'm already
You're gonna make me
caffeinated
cry,
to the
dude.
nines. Haven't had a cold brew in a month. So I'm already shaking. I got the shakes, which is what I love. I've been missing this feeling.
Yeah.
We have Armand in the chat, who's the GOAT follower
Armand.
of Legit Football. We have the homie Thomas Bray, the GOAT graphic designer and local Panthers fan. Armand has welcomed me back and welcomed Jimmy to the show in a matter of moments. That means it's going to be an amazing show.
We have a whole farm in the chat, man. A bunch of goats going on.
Oh my God, it
I
doesn't.
don't know how
You,
this happened.
you hear that, Jimmy? All that batting.
Yeah. Do the sound.
It's just so much
Nope, nothing.
batting. Anthony, we need some bat cues if you don't mind.
Bah.
We're back and we have a really exciting show for you today. We're doing a hype train. Every offseason there's storylines that get a little out of control, and Adrian and I covered the ones that were pissing us off, the ones that wouldn't quit, the why won't you die stories of the offseason. We're doing hype trained up, bro. We're doing what we can't wait to see, what we're excited to hear more and more about. And I'm sure a lot of the storylines from that episode will maybe potentially you and I are different folks, man. We got different situations. You're an Indiana boy, former professional quarterback, former head coach.
Yeah.
So
Former scout too.
Former scout.
I started as a scout. Yeah.
And not to mention, I already gave him the shout out in the pre-chat, but if you guys don't follow NFL Stats on Twitter, you're doing yourself a disservice. Jimmy Ray has been on fire with the cool stats lately.
Bro.
Always blowing my
mind.
mind.
Share some?
Please. Yeah. Set
All right, fill up the gaps real quick while I look for one.
Oh yeah, I'll fill in the gaps.
So we have the Brock Purdy stat, how he started 5-0 last year. That's one of the storylines we could talk about too in the future.
Oh please.
Started 5-0, had multiple touchdowns every game he started. First quarterback to do that. I mean, we had TJ Watt, 22 forced fumbles of the past 5 seasons. You know who else is there? Did you see that? There was one defensive back there. Do you know who?
Oh, it was Marlon Humphrey,
in the top,
right?
Yeah. 13.
He's got that dog in him, man. Yeah, he's got that dog in him.
People are hype about that. People love Marlon Humphrey, dude.
Oh, dude,
he's a great guy. He doesn't get talked about a lot, honestly.
He's such a good corner. He correct me if I'm wrong, but he plays in the slot primarily, right?
I believe so.
Great slot corner. Yeah, the league doesn't celebrate their slot corners enough, but that whistle can only mean one thing. Anthony is pushing us along. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our legit headlines. And we're starting off with kind of an interesting one, kind of a unique one, but young wide receiver Van Jefferson, I believe he's going into his 3rd or 4th year, is set to play the X and Y receiver for the LA Rams this season.
There you go.
The 33rd team's Andy Benoit, who spent 2 seasons on Sean McVay's staff, sees Jefferson playing a key role in the Rams' passing attack. Benoit writes that Jefferson has the size to play outside and loose enough hips to operate underneath. As an X receiver, Jefferson will make plays along the sideline and stretch the field vertically. As a Z receiver, he'll handle short and intermediate routes. Robert Woods averaged 87 catches for 1,096 yards per season as the Rams' Z receiver from 2018 to 2020. Across 11 games last season, Jefferson caught 24 of 44 targets, 54.5% catch percentage, which, by the way, Jimmy, we do have some discussing to do about catch percentage in a moment. For 369 yards and 3 touchdowns. Multiple offseason knee injuries appear to have impacted his performance. I want to start off by saying, Jimmy, really quick before I get your thoughts on this headline, which there will be thoughts. We talked last week, you and I actually, about catch percentage. Actually, no, it was me and Adrian. It was on Friday. And we talked about, specifically, it was KJ Osborne who caught 60 of 90. And I thought to myself, oh, that seems middle of the pack, right? 67% is not that bad. Jefferson is 70. Mm-hmm. Diggs is around 70 as well. The top of the league when it comes to catch percentage is almost always running backs. I did a lot of research on catch percentage because we did some talking about it last week. And it made me realize that it's kind of an undercover stat, kind of a stat that not a lot of people know much about. And I think there's also, it can be one of the most misleading stats because
I was gonna say that I don't really love using that stat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's just so many different factors that go into it, and I don't know exactly like who comes up with what's a catchable ball or not, right? I mean, is it just based? I might just be based off like catches against targets.
Yeah, if a
Straight up.
QB is
And I mean,
throwing
what's
the ball,
considered a target?
yeah, if a pass gets deflected and the receiver ran their route perfectly, if the ball is not even close to catchable, but it's in their direction, it's a misleading stat. So I do want to clarify because Adrian and I used it to prove a couple points last week, and I kind of
You
want
can look at drop percentage a little too, like
That's
the
a little.
percentage of the balls that are dropped. That's something you can look at too. But once again, like you could look at 5 different sites and it'll all be different. You can look at Pro Football Reference, PFF. I've come into that like with QB pressures and stuff too. That's kind of like
Similar.
What's a pressure? Like
Too
explain to me
subjective.
exact like the
Yeah.
exact definition because everybody has a different definition.
Well, that's why I respect Pro Football Focus as, they move the needle as far as, NFL coverage. However, turnover-worthy plays, bro, it is the most subjective
What does
BS
that
I've ever.
mean?
Exactly. It's so fraudulent. But regardless, rant over. I just wanted to address that because we did talk about it last week, and now I'm kind of like, I don't want to say I'm walking back. I'll stand behind. I think you want to catch a little bit more than 2/3 of your targets, but it depends so much on quarterback play.
Yeah.
It depends so much on accuracy.
Kevin, it's always important to question what you see, right? And you're doing that right now.
That's what we're
you're
doing.
looking at the stat. You're like, 60 is that middle of the pack, and then you look into it. You're like, oh,
Yep.
it's not that bad. Why is that the way it is? And then people just see that they're like, you suck or you're better.
Right.
They don't even look into it.
And I think that's what will separate legit football from the other places is we'll go that extra mile. We'll do that extra work. So
we're pretty legit.
Really quick now, back to Van Jefferson. So he was hyped up as a breakout candidate last year. In my opinion, he underperformed. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on this receiver and your thoughts on this article?
Yeah, it sounds like they're planning. I mean, I don't know if it's coach say or what, but they're planning on relying on him a lot this season. I mean, they have Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. They have Skoranek down there as well. I believe Cooper Kupp's mostly in the slot, correct? I mean,
yes,
that's kind of a slot guy. He goes everywhere.
Right.
So the fact that Van Jefferson might be able to do a little bit of both, I think they need that. So that might be why he's saying that too. Like, hey, like he's speaking to Van like straight up, like, hey, we need you to play both sides. We need you to play tough on the outside and then get kind of loose on the inside. I mean, like you said, but 300 yards, I mean, his stats don't exactly pop off.
Yeah.
But the Rams weren't great. And with possible surgeries and stuff, he could be breakout again. But I mean, he had 800 yards in 2021. I'm looking at it now. 6 touchdowns is his max. I mean, he could go back to that, play a full season because he only played 9 starts last year. He can do something.
And don't forget about quarterback play, right? Like Stafford was out for most of the year, or when he was in, he was banged up. So, that healthy Stafford all season might mean better season for Van Jefferson. Yeah. I don't think the Rams have the most impressive receiving core. So this could be a huge opportunity for him to step in. And if you hear the health excuse anytime a hyped up player doesn't perform. But if Van Jefferson's going to do it, I think this is his year to do it with, one of the last years of Stafford's career, or the last. Anthony has expressed his belief that Stafford will play multiple more seasons. But if it's his last go, and he's healthy and Van's healthy, then he should have theoretically have a great season, right?
Yeah, theoretically. I mean, he's not going to get a lot of. I mean, Cooper Kupp's going to have to get double teamed sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
He's going to have to get that corner. He's going to have to get the linebacker to draw off him. I mean, he's moving everybody around, so Jefferson could also be helped in that instance as well. So.
And he's been a great deep threat in the past. So, I like the chances for Van Jefferson to have an improved season this year. But if he doesn't, I think then the ship has sailed on him as like one of those sleeper type players.
Yeah.
Thomas Bray in the chat, numbers are least effective in football because there are too many factors. You can't define a player in football while in the NBA, if a player shoots 20% from 3, they just can't shoot from 3. That's a good point.
Yeah, there's a lot more players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. And also the stats are a little more black and white. The shot either goes in or it doesn't. They do have true shooting percentage in the NBA, but that's a little more fickle, a little less clear.
And you can look at the MLB too. The MLB has batting average and stuff. I mean, it's straight up like how many
on base percentage.
On base percentage. They have a lot of stuff.
Then like pitchers have like the whip stat. There's all that. There's all those metrics, right? I love a good metric. Okay, this is a podcast for nerds. If you haven't figured that out yet, we're a nerdy podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's coming from NFL stats. He'll back that up. And so we love metrics here. Thomas, that's why I'm guessing PFF is so great because they try to take all factors into account. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great discussion on what is and isn't viable stats and on Van Jefferson. Jimmy, how do you feel about moving on to our next legit headline?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Panthers. Oh, this is music to my ears right here, baby. Panthers to lean on Miles Sanders and Adam Thielen. Panthers coach Frank Reich recently said Miles is just a versatile 3-down back, can run inside, outside, is good at all schemes, has good vision, balanced body control, acceleration into the hole. He's really, in a lot of ways, a complete back. We really look for that in our number one spot. Last season, Sanders totaled 1,347 scrimmage yards. That's 1,269 rushing, 78 receiving. Unbelievable how little he was utilized as a receiver in Philadelphia. We'll get to that. 11 touchdowns on 279 touches, which is an average of 16 touches per game. That's a lot. Notable. During his time with the Colts, Reich used Jonathan Taylor as the 3-down back. Taylor totaled 372 touches, 22 per game. Mamma mia. In his last healthy season, 2021. Darren Gant of Panthers.com expects Thielen to lead the Panthers in receptions this season. He also thinks the 33-year-old is set up to catch a bunch of short touchdown passes. Thielen has scored 30 touchdowns over his last 45 regular season games. That's a touchdown almost more than every other game. Like every 1.5 games, he scores a touchdown. So that's pretty crazy. Armand is saying, I am a nerd and proud of it. Armand, we are proud of you for accepting your nerdiness. We are proud of you for accepting our nerdiness. Thank you.
That's why we go so well together, Armand.
Armand and the Legit Football Podcast is like, I can't say peanut butter and jelly because I did that a couple episodes ago. Jimmy, think of a good food pairing.
Hot dog and ketchup.
Oh, thank you. I got you saved me, bro.
Yeah.
So this Panthers stat, I mean, there's nobody better to talk about this than Thomas. So Thomas, please let us know your thoughts on everything we just said regarding the Panthers. Jimmy, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this?
So I think last week when we were talking about over-unders, we were talking about Miles Sanders and how I think I went under perhaps and you went over, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm very high.
And then I was talking to some friends last night and they seemed to be thinking I have an Eagles fan. That's a friend that's an Eagles fan. And he was just kind of down on Miles Sanders. Probably, I don't know if they're just thinking like 2 years ago when he had 0 touchdowns and stuff, but last year he had a quiet 1,200 yards. I mean, that's in 11 touchdowns or something like that. I don't know if you mentioned it, but I mean, that's absolutely chaotic, dude.
Dude, he's a dog. Go ahead.
Well, all right. So I mean, but like Thomas said, there are a lot of factors when you're looking at stats, and you know that. I mean, the Eagles have the best offensive line in the game. I mean, there's no way around that. And comparing him to Jonathan Taylor, I'm not sure if I'd go that far because I mean, I don't think Frank Reich was just using Jonathan Taylor because that's his scheme. I think he's using Jonathan Taylor because that's Jonathan Taylor getting those carries. But it's also like Frank Reich's not afraid to run the ball.
Yeah. So Thomas has weighed in. I just don't think Sanders is that good. We brought him in for around $6 million. It would be a mistake to make him the face of the offense. I love Thielen though.
I mean the quarterback's the face of the offense for sure.
Yeah, Thomas. Here's what I don't get. Okay, like I think being a homer is like bad, right? Like it's got a really bad reputation, right? But you're like being a reverse homer right now. Like Miles Sanders is generating a lot of hype in the media. He's like a fantasy. I mean, actually, maybe I'm capping. I'm in the circles of fantasy people who are nerdy, who are looking for deals and discounts. And that's where a lot of the Miles Sanders love is coming from the, how is this guy available in the 6th round when he's, projected to be a 3-down back and an offense that should be on the rise. It should at least be better than it was last year. I don't understand it personally. Yeah. No disrespect, Thomas. I love Sanders. I've always thought he was talented. 1,200 yards. Yes, it's Philly. Yes, it's a good offensive line, but take away some of the spike weeks or the spike performances on the ground from that, but add in some targets in the passing game because they've already talked about utilizing him in the passing game,
especially with a rookie quarterback.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say. Well. Add in the extra targets because rookie quarterbacks need their safety nets. Mm-hmm. I just don't see how this experiment goes poorly. I love Miles Sanders as a fantasy sleeper. I'm super stoked that he's being talked about because, okay, that's actually pretty fair, Thomas. He suggests that maybe his expectations are just out of line because of having Christian McCaffrey as his franchise running back the last 5 years. And that's fair. I totally understand that. When you're used to greatness at a position, when the decline happens, it's exactly what Patriots fans are dealing with post Tom Brady life. Like, they're just struggling. They're really they're sipping on that copium.
I mean, they had Foreman and Hubbard last year, and I think
Foreman was
we
okay.
could. Yeah, I think overall that kind of duo kind of hit it off well. You could probably start.
Yeah.
You could start either one in fantasy, and it would work out pretty well. I
Not
think
sure.
that could be
Yeah.
something we see in the Hubbard's still there.
I think
So, I
Hubbard
mean,
gets a lot of love. I don't really understand the Hubbard love. I haven't really seen much that I was impressed by Chuba Hubbard in my time watching Panthers football the last couple of years.
I guess
Am I
you got to watch
crazy?
again, man. You might be a little crazy. I don't know too much about Trevor Hubbard, but
Yeah, I think he's weirdly overrated for a player who doesn't get talked about at all. I still think he's overrated. I like Raheem Blackshear, though. I'll say that. Undrafted free agent, formerly of the Buffalo Bills. I watched him in preseason, and I actually thought the Bills were going to cut Zach Moss for him. Instead, we flipped him for Nyheim Hines. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, Sanders and Thielen. We haven't even talked about Thielen at all, but I mean, he is slowing down, obviously. He's not the all-pro he once was. He's not the perennial Pro Bowl player, but rookie quarterbacks need security blankets, and Adam Thielen is as good as they come from that standpoint, especially older Thielen, who's got those vet instincts, and he'll probably bring a lot better of a side out of the other pass catching weapons on Carolina. Is this the year Terrace Marshall finally stops being horrible, or no? He's just always going to be horrible.
I mean, I wouldn't put any sort of money on it. I wouldn't put $1 on it. I don't think.
I've just
necessarily something to be excited about.
I've just heard so much Terrace Marshall Jr. hype over the years, TMJ, and I just don't know if I've seen less from a player who's been talked about as much as Terrace Marshall Jr. Maybe MVS is the only other name I can think of in that category of like just awful, just underperformers. But sorry, Thomas, for dumping on your team. A lot looking up. Miles Sanders and Thielen are going to be a good 1-2 punch, and I love Bryce Young, so.
Yeah,
I think, and I love Frank Reich.
Hubbard averaged 4.9 yards per carry last year, so that's not too shabby.
That's pretty solid.
I think the same as Sanders, but obviously less carries.
Yeah, I'll eat some crow on that. I did not know he had such a high YPC. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Does Thielen become a trade asset if the Panthers are not in the mix at the deadline? I don't think so, because I think he'll probably just want to go down with the ship. I believe he signed a 2-year deal, so this might be part of like a rebuilding situation. Like Thielen might know what he signed up for, and the Panthers probably know what they signed up for, and they are so devoid of weapons at the receiver position that Thielen might just eat in that offense.
Hayden Hurst.
Yes, I like the Hayden Hurst signing. I was going to bring that up.
I think I just like yelling about random tight ends.
That's your favorite thing to do.
With Irv Smith.
We need to have a drop on the show, like Jimmy's random tight end of the week.
Kylan Granson.
Jelani Woods. Thielen is a 50-catch guy. I think that's maybe I could see him getting 60.
Low.
I think I can get it.
6.23 is pretty good.
Yeah. So anyways, let's move on to our last legit headline of the day before we get into our hype train storylines. Hensley says Mark Andrews will still be Lamar Jackson's #1 target. I read this headline today and I thought to myself, duh.
That's what I thought too. I was like, yeah.
ESPN's Jamie Hensley writes that the Ravens' new look offense won't change Andrew's status as Lamar Jackson's top target. Under new offensive coordinator Todd Monken, the Ravens will run a pass-friendly, up-tempo offense. Music to my ears. I've been waiting for this for years for the Ravens. Featuring their 3 new stud wide receivers. The team added Odell Beckham Jr., Nelson Aguilar, who I'm not too impressed by, and first-round rookie Zay Flowers. Andrews in 2022 averaged 4.9 catches for 56.5 yards and 0.3 touchdowns per game. Those numbers were significantly down from 2021, which were 6.3, 80 yards per game. Oh my goodness, what a year. 80 yards a game at tight end and half a touchdowns per game. And Isaiah will likely operate as the tight end too. Isaiah, do you like that?
Sorry.
No, I had to do it. The 2022 fourth rounder caught 36 passes for 373 yards and 3 touchdowns as a rookie last season.
Kevin, breaking news. Travis Kelce is Patrick Mahomes' #1 too. Just in case you didn't know.
Dude, no, I mean, stud tight end's gonna stud tight end. And right. Lamar Jackson has always hyper-targeted Mark Andrews. Now Lamar Jackson is talking about being this 6,000-yard passing quarterback. We knew in his MVP season he had great passing chops. The discourse and negative attention on Lamar as a thrower, I think, is pretty whack. I'm not a fan of that. I just think he hasn't had the weapons or the time or the health really to be effective as a thrower. And I think if we're going to see Lamar Jackson break out as a thrower, this is going to be the year, and I'm projecting it. I'm looking for a big year from the Ravens offense. I think the Ravens are a team that's sneaky in the AFC. They're not a top 3 team, but I think they could easily be a top 5 team in the AFC.
Yeah, absolutely. But if they were the NFC, they could be like a top 3 team
top
for sure,
2 or 3, absolutely. I mean,
those Niners and
they could be right up there, right?
Yeah, with the Cowboys, kind of where the Cowboys are kind of in a similar spot,
similar tier. Yeah, I agree, Jimmy. So Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in football, right? Like top 3.
He's that dude. Yeah, he's
that dude.
He's not even in the ranks of like one of the best tight ends. He's one of the best pass catchers in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he has been. I mean, you heard the stat from 2021. I mean, he didn't have much of a effective quarterback throwing him the ball last year, and he was banged up, and Lamar was banged up when he played. So I kind of forgive those stats. He still had 5 catches a game in a year where he was, not, he didn't have the best. He wasn't set up for success, I'll say.
Yeah. And I think Lamar Jackson was on Twitter saying one time, like, F it, Mark Andrews is up there somewhere.
I love that.
I think there was a video of him like throwing an interception or something. He's like, well, I'm just trying to get it to my guy, Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
He's bound to be up there somewhere. That's worth a shot.
Yeah, no, Mark Andrews has that dog in him. And are you NFL stats? Are you buying into the Ravens as a potential uptick breakout sort of team this year from an offensive standpoint, based on how sort of not great they were last year?
Yeah. I mean, I think they should definitely be improved. If they're not, then I think it's a big bust at that point. I think if I had to put money on it, I mean, I think Dobbins hopefully is fully healthy. I think he's kind of went off a little bit later in the season last year. So Dobbins, Edwards is always, I mean, he's like the Boston Scott of the Ravens, right? He's always just going to come out and, I mean, maybe a little better than Boston Scott.
A little better.
He's the giant killer, but
I was going to say also a little bit more of a bruiser too. Gus Edwards, man, that dude can get some tough yards.
He's been around for a little while too. I think there was some stat where he got like 700 yards for like 4 or 5 straight seasons, and he was the only guy to do that.
I'm always a buyer of Gus Edwards in fantasy. I mean, he's always basically available for free at the end of your draft, and he's guaranteed for like one multi-touchdown game a year, maybe a handful.
But yeah, overall, Beckham, Flowers, Bateman, let's get this thing rolling, or next season we're gonna be like talking so much trash about them. They need to be better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm kind of just at the point now where I'm like, when are they gonna be the team that we think they are? And I think this is gonna be the year. I'm definitely forecasting that.
Hoping for safe, like health.
Yes, that's such an important.
But that's like every team. Make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
So get that scheme right. Yeah.
Jimmy, we tackled the legit headlines. I do want to address Thomas. Thielen is on the record of saying he wants to be a part of the rebuild. I had a feeling that was the case. And there's one more thing I have to address before we move on to our main topic, and that is, Jimmy, the Breaking Bad poster, just eye candy for me. I don't know if you know how much I love Breaking Bad. It is my favorite show.
Are we gonna have a spinoff? Are we gonna have a spinoff podcast right now?
We should have
Better
a spinoff podcast.
I'll put Better Call Saul right here.
Please, are you that nerdy about it as I am, or are you just
yeah.
Okay,
I've seen all the Better Call Saul. And,
I love Breaking
Bad.
I've seen it. Like people say Better Call Saul's better. I don't agree. I think they're my top 2 favorite all-time shows. But love both shows. But we'll get into that later.
Like has my heart. Sorry.
Me too. No, same.
Better Call Saul was phenomenal.
Amazing. Bob Odenkirk, one of the best actors I've ever seen.
My guy.
Jimmy, it's time for our main song. Hit me with it, baby. Hit me one more time.
I feel like it's here.
Very topical. Britney Spears reference. Yeah, baby, we are ready to roll. Generator? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for off-season hype train, okay? The hype train is at its peak speed right now, given the fact that we are as far away from the off-season as we are until camp starts, which means storylines abounding, okay? We're talking about the stories we're excited to hear about, we're excited to see unfold when it comes time for the regular season. Jimmy Ray, why don't you kick us off with your main hype train story?
Zach Moss. No, I'm just kidding. My first hype train is all the rookie quarterbacks because I think last year
That's
we were
on
kind
mine.
of like we were.
There was
I mean, not saying we were down in the dumps, but we had
we
one
were.
first-round quarterback in Kenny Pickett, and
Yeah.
now we have. I mean, we have Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. We have Will Levis in
Yep.
the mix somewhere, who was
Yep.
obviously a second-round pick. But
Stetson
guess
Bennett
what? They
sneakily in the
all,
mix.
yeah, they all play each other this season in some
Oh yeah.
capacity. I mean, obviously 3 of them are in the same division, right? But the
Yeah.
Panthers play all of them too. So we have Bryce Young versus C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young versus Anthony Richardson,
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud playing each other twice.
Yeah.
Assuming they're both starting, I
Yeah.
assume they're going to be doing that.
Oh
Will
yeah.
Levis, who knows where he will be? He could end up playing against one of those 2 teams. I mean, I'm excited, dude. Especially since I'm a Colts fan, obviously. So this was like number 1 on my list. So we can talk about Anthony Richardson, but I think it's just the stories around that will be awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually bummed because you took my number one as well.
Oh no.
I'm very well documented how often I talk about how much I love the coaching and the quarterback carousel. I love new faces in new places. I love that the league is in a place where it's constantly moving forward with new talent. We had the old guard for so long, Jimmy. We had the Ben Roethlisberger, the Tom Brady, the Phillip Rivers, the Matt Ryan. It kind of felt like if you didn't have one of those guys, you didn't have a great quarterback. And now it feels like every year the position is evolving and players are stepping up in ways that we never thought they could, like Brock Purdy. I mean, stories like that are just like music to my ears. And there's going to be one that comes out of the woodworks. That's why I threw Stetson Bennett's name in the conversation. For whatever it's worth, I don't think that's going to happen, but you're right. You're looking at Bryce Young, who was a first overall pick. There's a debate right now going on about whether or not he's a generational talent. I think the jury's out on that, right? He's not like a Trevor Lawrence sort of prospect. Like he's not like on that level. He's not on the level of like
Patrick Mahomes wasn't considered a generational talent, right. And then he played like a game, and they're like, oh, he's that dude. Yeah.
Well, I'm old enough to remember when there was articles about Josh Allen that said if Josh Allen succeeds, then the Bills will have outsmarted all of math and human history itself. And here we are. Yeah, here we are. So I love the call. Will any of those guys? Nice.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah,
will any of those guys come in and occupy one of those spaces, like occupy one of those top 5, top 10 spaces?
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I could definitely see. I mean, with how many darts we have to throw, we could definitely hit it in that top 10 range, which I'm excited about. But we could also end up with like 4 Mac Joneses, right? Which no offense to Mac Jones, but he's not top 10. I don't know if he'll ever like reach that status. I mean,
and that's low hanging fruit now. But I remember after his rookie year, he was talked about like he was the second coming of Brady.
Yeah, so, I mean, because they made the playoffs. He was the only rookie quarterback to make the playoffs, I believe.
That's how fast things change in the NFL.
Yeah.
You gotta be at the forefront of everything that's happening because the league is always changing and evolving. So I love that call. I'm gonna go with a sort of a unique hype train one.
Okay.
I'm looking at those situations, and I actually mentioned this in my fantasy burning questions, but I'm looking at those new faces in new places.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers. I'm looking at Derek Carr. This technically doesn't count because he played there last year, but I'm looking at Russell Wilson with an actual real head coach. I'm excited to see these teams unfold because we don't know what we're going to get. I feel like it's a mystery box. I really do. Like Derek Carr has always been a Raider. This is the first time we're seeing this guy and this talent, former MVP candidate, had the Raiders looking like they were going to contend for the Super Bowl one year, and then he's getting benched for Jarrett Stidham. I think Derek Carr is. He's so underrated, and I think him with the weapons that New Orleans has. I think Derek Carr is somebody who we're not talking about enough. And
I wish they played each other. I wish the Saints and Raiders played each other. I don't think they do.
I don't think so either, but that would be incredible. But I also, Rodgers, obviously, I hate the Jets, but the league is better when the Jets are good. They're a fun team to hate, and their defense is unbelievable. And we're gonna find out if Saleh is actually a legit head coach because, he finally has a quarterback. Zach Wilson is gonna go down as one of the biggest busts in league history, I think, unless somehow he turns it around in some way, in some capacity. I don't see it happening. And Russell Wilson, who who's been the subject of just so much criticism and so much hatred. At the end of the day, Jimmy, the Broncos are 0-0 right now. And
they're 0-0. Absolutely.
everything that they went through last year can be erased if he goes out and puts together a good season this year.
Yeah, let's just go back and pretend that we're still hype on the Broncos and see what happens. I mean, they're in a tough division, but last year we were like, can they overtake the Chiefs?
Yeah,
maybe don't say that again. Let's
that's maybe
keep the Chiefs on the top.
That's a bridge
okay
too far.
with you? Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, burn that bridge down and
I'll
build one across to like the Chargers or something.
Literally, yeah, that's a little bit more.
Yeah,
but
fine.
But Adrian and I were just talking about post-hype sleepers on the Fantasy Burning Questions show, and the Broncos are prime candidates for post-hype sleepers as a team. So.
Yeah, I had them on my list as well. Like Sean Payton's return is what I called it, and
big
we can
time.
go ahead and throw that out. I mean,
I would.
That he's back.
Oh my God, it's so exciting. Thomas, Armand, Anthony, if any of you guys have awesome hype train regular season storylines that you're looking forward to seeing unfold, hype train, we can go off season. We can talk about other situations that we're looking at. But do you have another one, Jimmy, that you want to fire up?
You know what, Kevin? I did bring another one, if that's all right with you.
Oh, please.
Calvin Ridley. I think that guy, and we can just go with the Jaguars overall. But for a second, I think Calvin Ridley's really interesting. I know I might have been down on him compared to like in terms of fantasy, but I think his range of outcomes is kind of, I've gotten that term from fantasy footballers podcast, range of outcomes. I think he has. I mean, dude could be a star next year. I mean, he's old, but like he's played 4 seasons in the NFL. Like this guy could still be fresh. He had 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. He had a 10 touchdown game his rookie season. I mean, there's so many possibilities, and with that offense with Trevor Lawrence and everybody over there, Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby. I mean, Tank's back there. Josh Allen on the defensive side. I know you're not a big fan of the other Josh Allen after what he did to you guys, but
dogged us. Absolutely
dogged you guys. Absolutely.
He really did.
But I mean, they're in the same division as the Colts, and I'm excited about him, dude. I don't know why, but I'm like, Trevor Lawrence he's a chill dude. He's kind of cool. He kind of looks like, you kind of look alike. I mean, maybe it's just the blonde hair. I don't know.
I was gonna say, take it back.
I think that's about it. But
I was gonna say,
I think you're. Don't. I'm sorry, man. I hope that wasn't an insult.
I'm taking this extremely personally. I'm.
Oh no,
Michael Jordan right now. I'm taking that personally. No. I love the pick. Yeah, Calvin Ridley is such a great storyline, and if Damar Hamlin didn't literally die, I think Calvin Ridley could be a comeback player of the year candidate. I'm super stoked to see him come back, and yeah, I think he's super I think he's underrated. I think he's underhyped. I think Calvin Ridley is going to go out there and re-break out, remind the league why he was trending to be a top sort of 10 perceived player in Atlanta a handful of years ago. But fantastic pick. Thomas, I think he's joking because he said LOL, but he said looking forward to seeing the Patriots shake up the AFC East. That's just a great bit. I'm here for that.
Shake it up from the bottom, cause an earthquake or something.
Like bunk beds. Like he's like shaking the AFC East from the bottom.
Like the little kid messing with his older brother.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, wake up. And they're like, what, dude? We're about to play in a game that matters. Sorry.
That's so disrespectful. Producer pick, Anthony Weiner, quarterback rivalries. That's a fantastic pick, Anthony. Allen Mahomes, Burrow Mahomes, Allen Burrow.
The rookie quarterbacks could produce a new rivalry. I mean, especially with the 3 in the same division.
Yeah, Richardson could go out there and start a rivalry with Stroud or Lawrence.
Yeah, they could cause a bench clearing fight or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah, Goff is bound to get his name in those conversations if he mixes it up a little bit. The lines are kicking off the season, week 1. We could be looking at a Goff Mahomes rivalry.
Yeah,
kind of hilarious to say it, but
I mean, Rams Chiefs. Were we there in 2018? Yeah,
you're right. See, I was actually joking.
Well, now you're not, right?
One of the all-time best football games. I will never forget.
Yeah, Goff is a legend, dude.
Yep.
You got a quarterback for life, Anthony. I'm sure you agree with that. I don't know. I forget if you do.
Jimmy, any other quarterback rivalries that you're excited to see play out this year?
Nothing that comes to mind. I mean, Allen Mahomes is kind of like that. Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. I think there's always some sort of rivalry there.
Yep.
Because both those fan bases are absolutely amazing. I'll use the word amazing because if I use another word, they'll come after me. But I don't know if Cowboys fans are fed up with Dak Prescott yet, but I think this could be one of those seasons again. I mean, if Jalen Hurts outduels him once again, we could have some question marks. But I think he's fine.
Yeah. Do you remember that hilarious tweet that the Cowboys team, like official team page, put out where they just like dogged Dak Prescott for like his performance in the playoffs?
What did it say?
Oh, I have to find it. Oh, it's like unbelievable. I'm actually gonna Google it. Here, fill the space for me really quick.
All right, I'm searching it too, but I mean, overall,
it was so disrespectful.
Hey, quarterback rivalries. There's a lot of those, but there's a lot of like defensive rivalries. We saw it like Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, and TJ Watt. Kind of those fan bases go after each other. I'm not sure if it's like rivalries between the players, but people like if I post a TJ Watt stat or something, people are like, "Where's Myles Garrett?" I'm like, "Shit, dude, come on." I mean, let's focus on the positive. Let's not just bring like Myles Garrett isn't here. I was like, they're just both elite, man. They're both dogs, but I get what they're going after.
Yeah, no, you have a great point there. The fans versus the players, the defensive side of the ball, all rivalries, really. Like, there are teams and fans of teams that just hate other teams and other fans of teams. I mean, myself, absolutely. I cannot stand the Dolphins and their fans.
I found the tweet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to read it? It's so great.
Dak Prescott gave away the ball twice in the narrow loss to the 49ers in a match that the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't again generate self-inflicted wounds. Dude, they said Dak Prescott gave the ball away twice, narrow loss, had a chance to win, and if they didn't again generate self-inflicted wounds.
That's the team crazy. Account. That's the team account.
Was he even an account? Yeah, okay, that was an article.
Bro, like that's so disrespectful.
That's crazy.
Like
regardless of what happened, like don't do that.
Don't dog your own QB. Like, oh man, because Dak gets a lot of hate. Like Dak, I think he was previously overrated, but I think he's now underrated because of how much disrespect he gets.
Was he one of the quarterbacks that like talked about like his mental health and stuff at one point too?
Yeah.
And, like he wanted to like that, like stop doing that to players overall. I mean, especially from the team account, but like even if you're just a fan, like I understand things get heated, but like that's just how upset your team lost. Don't just like pinpoint one player.
That's just how the media and fans
unless it's Jacoby Myers and whatever happened with that. Sorry, never mind.
Low hanging fruit, Jimmy. Bro,
I know.
You're a savage today. Also, by the way, we're just in hype up Jimmy Ray mode today. The Irish shirt. I gotta give you some love on that. I've been the Irish are top 3 college team for me. I've never been the biggest college fan, but I love the Irish.
I interned for them, right?
No way.
Yeah. They're summer sports camps. So I would help put that on and stuff. I saw Brady Quinn. I saw Jim Hart. Where John Harbaugh brought his daughter to girls lacrosse camp. That was sick.
That is so cool, man. Yeah, no, I absolutely love. I love the Notre Dame love.
My pants a little bit, to be honest. But I looked up and I was like, last name, he's like Harbaugh. I was like, oh, I know you.
I might too. That's crazy. Okay. My big one. So we talked about rookie quarterbacks. We talked about new faces in new places. We talked about rivalries. We talked about, what was your second one? Remind me again.
Calvin Ridley, my guy.
Calvin Ridley and the Jaguars and what they're going to put together.
I bet on him.
I love that. Oh yeah. I think that's definitely a team worth betting on. My next storyline is going to be we talked about rivalries, right? I'm talking about division races to me that are just too close to call. And the one I'm looking at, it's kind of sneaky, but who's going to win the AFC North? I know everybody's picking Cincinnati. They're the chalk pick, but I really, really like Baltimore this year. And we talked about it in the legit headlines.
You're about the AFC North, right?
Yeah. The AFC. Oh, did I say the NFC North?
I think so.
I meant AFC North.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I think the Ravens and the Bengals are closer than people think. And I think the same thing about both the Dolphins and the Jets when it comes to the Bills. I'm always going to pick the Bills, and I think that's the logical, correct pick. But
yeah,
all
but
three
the
of those
NFC North
teams,
too, right? I mean, even that's we got the Lions,
the Vikings.
We got.
I think that's really it. I'm not really in on the Packers this year. The Bears are they should take a step
Let's do
forward.
Lions and Vikings, yeah.
Really, realistically, but there's the NFC South, right? The Saints are actually a threat this year. The Panthers were they one of the teams that was like on the doorstep of winning the division last year at the end?
I think they all were.
Yeah, insane.
Seriously, they think they all had a chance. I think one of them fell out. But...
And the poopy Bucks had they scraped their way in, bro. So no, man, they're poopy, especially this year.
They're a little poopy.
It's a family show. But what about you, Jimmy? Are there any divisions that you're looking at that you just think are just too close to call?
I can't get my head out of the AFC East.
That's the one.
The Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, and the Patriots looking to shake things up. Shout out my guy Armand, I believe, said that.
No, it was Thomas.
Thomas, sorry.
I think
sorry,
he was
Thomas.
kidding.
I got you. No, he was dead serious. And you know what? I'm going to throw him in there. No. But, I mean, the Dolphins could easily win it. The Bills could easily win it. The Jets could easily win it as well. I mean, the Jets are on my hype train as well in terms of just Aaron Rodgers joining them. Their offensive and defensive rookies of the years. I mean, they could be the powerhouse that, who knows, they could take over the Bills. The Bills could fall at some point. No,
they could.
They're not ready. They could. That's all we're talking about right now.
No, you're doing your job as an analyst. I mean,
if I had to pick for somebody, it'd be the Bills, but it's not by as much as you probably wish.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, 2021, the year they were the closest in terms of, competing and they almost won that 13 seconds game. They're a squib kick away from hosting the AFC Championship game in 2021. Mm-hmm. Last year, it's documented how bad they fell off, but they only won the AFC East in 2021 by a game. The Patriots were in the lead with 3 games to play. The Bills' dominance it's real, but it's maybe a little overstated because of recency bias, like especially last year. I mean, they were just lights out last year, going 13-3 with Josh Allen having 1 UCL, and it's in his non-throwing arm. Armand, I love this. He says the Jets are going to be on Hard Knocks and the Bills are going to get power bombed onto a table. Okay, I love it. No, I love the smack talk. I think that's Armand's hype train storyline that he's most excited for, is the power bombing of Robert Saleh's parents, Josh Allen and Sean McDermott, into a table. But anyways, we are on a roll right now with our hype train storylines. Jimmy Ray, hit me with another one.
So we talked about a lot of what I wanted to talk about, but I do like mentioning like the question marks at quarterback. I think there's always a lot of teams. Shout out to the fantasy footballers again, but like a third of the teams typically change the starting quarterback each year.
Yeah.
So there's like a new guy in there. That's a third of the league. That's like 10 teams will come in and have a new quarterback each year on average. So next year, who knows what's going to happen? But we have the Bucks. Baker Mayfield's out there. Will he finish the season? I honestly doubt it, but I think Baker Mayfield has a little bit of spark in him. We'll see how long it holds out, but we all know when he came in his first game with the Rams, he balled out, I believe, against the Raiders, maybe.
Yeah, that was dope.
He had like 3 days of rest. That was a storyline. That was awesome.
Yep. The comeback in the they were down 16, I want to say, and he brought him back and won the game.
Yeah, so I mean, a quarterback we're not even thinking about right now, or we think low of. He could come in and have a great couple weeks, and that's always a fun storyline, regardless of how it turns out or how it started.
Yeah,
just because I mean these guys are players, and if they have a couple good weeks, that could last them for a while. And I'm always appreciative of kind of that player, that human side. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
But Kyle Trask too, he could come in and have a great year. The 49ers, they have like Sam Darnold. What if Sam Darnold comes in and starts at some point? Who knows? I mean, that's a long shot, but with the 49ers, it's not a long shot. Sam Howell, I didn't even think about. I mean, that's
Ritter.
A possibility. Desmond Ritter. We could have Taylor Heinicke come in and have a success rate with another team. Oh,
somewhere in the league, there's going to be a quarterback that we aren't expecting playing great, and that's what I'm super excited about.
Yeah, it's the unknown, right?
That's a great call.
Yeah,
that's a great pick. Yeah, those performances by players who aren't supposed to be great doing great things. Geno Smith is the big a bridge too far. No, you're right. You're right. It always can happen. It always can happen. I'm so low on the Titans, man. I think they're gonna have a wake up call this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't believe they haven't burned it down yet. Shout out to Armand. I absolutely love this. the Bears and the Falcons. Anybody who watches this show or listens to the show knows how much we love the Falcons, especially Brian McFadden.
Yeah.
Are you adding the Falcons?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not as hype. I don't think they'd make my list.
Do you not like Bijan? Do you hate Bijan?
I love the offense, but I just want to see them do a little more.
Their defense got a lot better.
Yeah, that's true.
They got a lot of pieces. Jesse Bates, he's a needle mover for me.
AJ Terrell, right?
Top 5 corner, yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it, but
Jimmy,
I don't know.
As a Twitter guy,
they got a lot of offensive
Drake London, Bijan, Kyle Pitts.
I think it's Desmond Ritter is what's holding me back.
That's fair. No, and that's a very.
I think that's what's holding me back. But I might just be overthinking it, and quarterback's not the most important position on their team. But if the quarterback's not the most important position, is that going to win you like a lot of games?
They have a great offensive line. They had, they paved the way for a rookie Tyler Algier to run for 1,000 yards last year. They went out and got, David Onyemata to beef up the defensive line.
True.
I don't know, man.
I could be sleeping.
I think
I could
be
sleeping. But I'm just being honest with you.
It's
Kevin.
okay. No, I respect it.
I feel like we've built this relationship, and I feel like I can be honest with you.
This relationship is built upon trust, loyalty, honesty, and just a burning passion for each other. So, yeah, it's fair. It's absolutely fair that you. No, but the Bears. I mean, you got to be in on the Bears, right? You got to at least. They might be at times a train wreck, but they're going to be a fun to watch train wreck.
They are going to be a fun to watch train wreck, and maybe I should think of that with the Falcons as well, minus the full train wreck, maybe just like a slight car.
Yeah, the Falcons are a fender bender. That's just fun.
Yeah, fender bender. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
They could have a couple fender benders here and there, but then they're going to go on like a high-speed chase and get away from the cops or something like
Literally.
that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, because here's the thing. Yeah, Ritter's just not – he doesn't play the exciting brand of football that Fields plays.
Yeah,
have you seen some of those highlights of Fields circulating, like of just his insane runs?
I think I might do it after this show. Can we?
Please, no. I'll send you. Maybe we can get the legit football account. But Fields has just had some unbelievable, like Michael Vick type runs.
Yeah,
like just make everybody miss in a phone booth and score a touchdown when there's no way he should. Thomas has a hype train storyline. It's malpractice that Baker has another starting job.
It's not a hype storyline.
Yeah, he's hyped to watch him fail. Bruce Arians really brought in a guy who had the second worst QBR in NFL history in Carolina. Yeah, no, Baker was.
What choices did the Bucs have? I think everybody was like, "What happens after Brady?" And now we're here, and we're like, "What's gonna happen?" I don't know.
You're so right, but also at the same time, like they got their ring. It's the same with the Rams. It's like you pay for those all-in moves. Those moves that set teams back years, usually they are looked at and they're looked at with regret and mockery because they don't work. But for the Bucs and the Rams, those moves worked.
Yeah. I think they should bring back Jameis Winston.
Honestly, low key, yeah. I mean, any of those backup quarterbacks, why not? I think he's better than both their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Is he not? Jameis had no shot in NOLA last year. They didn't even give him a shot.
I don't know. I would just love to see his training videos. I hope some more come out this year with Jameis Winston like dodging. I don't know.
His training videos are so funny.
I don't know what happened.
He is absolutely the most hilarious, unintentionally hilarious player in the NFL.
Yeah.
No.
But but Baker's got some sort of a dog in him. He's got like I don't know any breeds of dogs, but he's got some sort of small.
You talking about Baker?
Yeah, he's got a small puppy in him.
Baker's got like a Yorkshire Terrier.
Okay, I like that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, he's got like a Cocker Spaniel Yorkshire Terrier mix. Like he's a little baby.
Yeah,
Thomas thinks that Arians just wants to rebuild quarterback on his own, and it's an ego move. I mean, first of all, Arians is not the coach. I know he's maybe in some sort of a consulting role with the team. I don't really understand that situation, but I get where you're coming from, though, Thomas. I do think it seems a little bit like a reclamation project. Some coaches just love their reclamation projects, and I respect that. The Bills brought in defensive end Shane Ray, former first-round pick,
my cousin.
To be.
Yeah. Sorry.
Low-hanging fruit, Jimmy. All day, please. Just keep picking it. It's the ripest.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am open to suggestions. If Anthony has any more hype train storylines he wants us to tease out, Thomas, Armand, I could definitely come up with a handful more. I'm I just want to give the I
I
just
could
want
go
to give.
through. I have a few more, but if you,
Yeah,
I didn't know if you
please.
had one more.
No,
Well,
keep it
do I have a
coming.
few more? I think I just have one more actually. I
Don't
said
tease it
Anthony
and then
Richardson.
don't
I
dangle the dream and
basically
then take it
I
away.
basically put Anthony Richardson twice with the rookie quarterbacks
Yeah.
and Anthony Richardson because he's my guy.
Yeah, that's easy. You're a
He could
Colts
be
fan.
yeah, absolutely. He could be he could be one of those guys that moves up the needle, right? He could
Yeah.
be a top 5, top 10 if he works on his accuracy,
Yeah.
and his overall passing game. He could be that guy. And then I also have the Lions. I kind of wanted the Lions. I mean, Anthony. I think the Lions could be really good. So I'm excited to see where they go from here. But
Dude, so excited to watch the Lions.
right, you got all sorts of good players. You got Jahmyr Gibbs out there now. You got their defense kind of rolling a little bit. Their offensive lines got a bunch of star power in there. Yeah, you got
Goff, Thielen.
absolutely. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is that guy. I love him, dude. So I
He
think
is such a great slot receiver, like one of the best slot receivers in the league.
Yeah. Overall, I'm just excited for the Lions and the Jets. But
oh, here we go. Okay, shout out to Thomas here. This is a good one. We talked about competitive divisions, right? We talked about the East of both sides, the North of both sides. The AFC South is a sneaky division to watch. Thomas, Jimmy, I believe, Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a noted vocal non-believer in the Jaguars.
Oh, wow.
You don't see a lot of those these days. They're kind of a trendy upstart team. So
I mean, we did see them they barely made the playoffs last year when the Titans fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was pretty competitive. They won 7, lost 7 in a row. And then the Colts could sneak in. I don't know. I mean, I think the Colts could obviously sneak in, but I'm a homer, so I always think that. I thought that with Wentz. I thought that with Ryan. I thought that with Jacoby Brissett. I thought that Rivers was their best bet in the past 5 years. So,
Wentz, Ryan, Rivers. Oh, what a tough stretch for
what
you
a
guys.
squad! Let's go,
bro. Oh my God, Jimmy, we've never talked about it on this podcast. This is a little bit of a segue. This is a little bit of a detour. We're gonna get back into the AFC South.
Yeah.
But how about that Bills Colts playoff game from a couple years ago
with Rivers?
Was that not an incredible game?
That was an incredible game. Well, no, it wasn't. It was awful,
dude. That was some of the most anxious I ever was because that was the first year the Bills were like actually really good, like a juggernaut team.
Yeah,
and they almost blew that game. And that Hail Mary Rivers threw up. Oh my God, Micah Hyde saved my life with that deflection. And
I need to rewatch that game up until the final play.
Such a good game. And I love Josh Allen, but dude, he needs to settle down in the playoffs. That's just the truth. He always has ridiculous plays in the playoffs where he's sprinting full speed backwards and he's getting chased and guys are ripping at the ball. And we need better from him this year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Rivers retired after that. So upsetting.
Oh, it's terrible last game. Terrible way to go out. Because he played well. He had a great game, great season.
I mean, it's a lot better than what we've had.
So the South is going to be Jacksonville's division, right? Like it's their division to lose, but like they're going to win it, right? That's easy money, right?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, they're my favorite. But I do agree that they're always somewhat competitive. It's always a weird division. So I mean, Trevor Lawrence took a leap last year, and I think he'll take another leap. But
yeah,
God only knows, dude. The AFC South is fun.
I really
in a bad way.
I really like the Texans, man. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
I think they're so underrated, bro. Like I think they're gonna be bad, but I think they're gonna be like good bad.
What's your favorite piece on the Texans?
I think
what's one guy that's making you excited?
Well, I mean, obviously CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Other than him, though.
Other than him, I like Nico Collins. I think he's gonna have a breakout year. I like John Mechie. I like Dalton Schultz. Damian Pierce is a dog. They picked up Shaq Mason from the Bucs. I think their offensive line is going to be better this year. Mm-hmm. I love Devin Singletary. On defense, they went out and got Will Anderson Jr., who's one of the most highly regarded defensive end prospects in years. Derek Stingley. Yeah. Come on, bro. You picking up what I'm putting down?
No, not really. But I see like Damian Pierce. There's some pieces there, but Nico Collins, I think he lost me when I had him in fantasy. I think I've had too many shares of him.
That's fair.
He poops the bed. Shout out to
the family show.
But he feels like Van Jefferson type role. I mean, I don't know where he's gonna go, but I'm not sure we'll see where CJ Stroud leaves
him. We have two really interesting quotes from Armand here. Number one, he's down on the Geno Smith hype train. Not a believer. Can't say I agree, Armand, but I understand. A lot of people think it was a flash in the pan. But the receiving core that he has is just insane.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And then you got Jackson coming in too, and now you got. I mean, they're the skill players. They added Zach Charbonnet too. I mean, he said he was hype on the rest of the Seahawks too. I'm all for that, and I think if you hype on the rest of the Seahawks team train, I think Geno Smith will only benefit from that. But he just can't. He can't mess it up. So
defense got better.
Yeah, don't listen, Armand. Just let him write back or whatever the quote was. Okay.
Oh my God,
I say that every show.
Geno Smith is waiting to write back and for Armand. Geno Smith is going to jump in the comments right now and write back. Finally,
we talk about Geno Smith. I think every show.
Why not? He's such a great story.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I love about this podcast, it's so eclectic. Like I feel like we talk about every team. I don't think there's a single team in the entire NFL that we don't talk about.
Whoever we talked about.
I think
we've talked about the Chargers a lot.
Well, today. I mean, I talk about them a lot because I got Herbert's name all up in my mouth. That's a hype train storyline. A great transition. I think Justin Herbert this year will prove he's either elite or not.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of the fact that he's just been crowned as elite. I haven't seen it.
He's got those passing yards under his name.
He always has those passing yards.
Yeah, he always has them.
Always has a But we talked about this last week. He had 25 touchdowns. You can't be elite and throw for 25 touchdowns.
That's true. You got to go 40 plus.
35 plus. 35 plus, but also like
Kirk Cousins is elite.
Yeah. I mean, from a touchdown standpoint, I mean, yeah, he's insane. But no, dude, I am super excited to see Herbert play this year, man. Kellen Moore, new weapons.
Yeah. Quentin Johnson.
Armand. Geno should write back an apology to Jets fan base for sucking. That's why he doesn't believe
He got punched in the mouth.
IK Enampali, and then Buffalo picked him up because Rex Ryan hated the Jets. Rex Ryan would do anything to control the Jets.
Bring Rex Ryan back. 2023.
He's entertaining, man. He really is.
He could come back. There's been some. No, probably not.
No, it's not happening. No, there have been whispers. I don't think it's going to happen, but crazier things have happened. Armand, back to this whispering. Rex Ryan's coming back. Yeah. Armand, the Texans will finish in second place in the AFC South bucket. You are directly disrespecting Jimmy's Colts when you say that. But I agree, Armand. I like the Texans. I all due respect to Jimmy, I think that I like the Texans better than the Colts.
I mean, are you saying like you trust CJ Stroud over Anthony Richardson at that point? Or are you just saying their team overall is better? Because I don't know if I agree with that.
I think CJ Stroud has a little less.
I think I did kind of want him though, so I won't talk trash about him.
I was gonna say I think CJ Stroud has a little bit more of like a easier transition to the league. Like, I mean, Anthony Richardson does have insane athleticism. So, I think rookie quarterbacks with insane athleticism usually do enough to offset the growing that they have to do.
Yeah. You know what? This year I could see it. I think CJ Stroud could make maybe less mistakes of sorts, but
I think he's got more of a game manager vibe. Yeah. CJ Stroud, Jimmy, what's your Texans win percentage or win prediction for how many wins they're going to have?
Oh, geez. I mean, if we're saying second in the.
I mean,
that's what I predict. Like, am I picking an over under? Am I picking what I think they'll win?
I think you should pick the number itself.
What they win last year? Like 3, 4?
Yeah, I think it was 4.
They were the 2 or 3. Yeah, because they barely lost the first pick in the draft. I mean, 6 or 7, 6 to 8 maybe.
Okay,
is my kind of range.
You're in a comfortable range for me. I was gonna strong arm you publicly into making a bet with me on the air. About the Texans win loss, but you're in a comfortable range. I can respect where your head's at.
So no bet. You can say that for Anthony's brother, Tyler.
I guess. I was gonna say 6.5 might be the line I would consider the over on, but
yeah, I'm not ready to bet the under on that. So
there you go. Yeah, then we're not doing it. Yeah, I'm glad Armand is in agreement with me on the Texans. I don't have a problem with the Colts. I love Anthony Richardson. I love Jonathan Taylor. I love Michael Pittman.
The Colts did make a lot of moves this season, which is why I feel like it's up in the air. But I think they still have a lot of pieces. I think it could work out. But the linebackers, I think we took a drastic hit with Bobby Okereke leaving.
Yeah.
Their cornerbacks. I mean, we traded away Stephon Gilmore, and Isaiah Rodgers is gone, so that's kind of up in the air as well.
I love Kenny Moore though.
Kenny Moore's that guy, but
we talked about this earlier. Why are they so underrated? Why are slot corners always so underrated, bro?
I don't know, but I mean, Cooper Kupp's a slot wide receiver, so I mean, you could be guarding some of the best wide receivers in
That
the
might
game
be why.
too. So,
Yeah. Harder to guard slot receivers. I think this is a great place to wrap up the show, Jimmy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we hit that hour mark. I'm
Hit
getting
the
a little
hour mark?
hungry. My stomach's growling.
There you go. Hey, put it up to the mic, man. Put it up to the mic.
I'm not gonna do that, but just know it's growling, man.
All right.
Thanks, Anthony.
I was hoping to hear
the one laugh track. It's about my stomach growling.
Hey, you know, we're bringing the A game on the Legit Football NFL podcast, as you guys already know. Shout out to Armand and Thomas for keeping the chat on fire. Shout out to Jimmy Ray for bringing the hard-hitting analysis, the stats. Shout out to LA, man. Shout out to being back home, man. I'm so happy you guys, the listeners, the team, everybody's been so supportive and patient with my summer long vacation, and we're finally almost ready to get back to some real football, Jimmy. It's so close I can taste it, bro.
Yeah, 5 weeks from now, I'll be at Colts Bears joint training camp. So I'm excited.
That's so dope, dude.
5 weeks away.
That is so dope, dude.
Colts Bears. I see Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson out there. Maybe they'll do like a race or something. I don't know.
You're like, I'm gonna cry just with from excitement with all this. You better film stuff.
Please don't cry.
I'm going to. I'm getting emotional.
Am I allowed to film stuff? I don't want to get arrested.
Dude, I might be going to Bills training camp in August. So sick. I will, and I'm definitely going to see Bills Giants and Bills Chargers this year.
Are all training camps free? Is it free to attend for the Bills too?
I think so. There was a lot of controversy this year because they made the tickets available via the website, and then scalpers copped all the free tickets and then started selling them. Yeah, so there's gonna Bills camp is kind of up in the air, but I'll keep you guys posted on my journey, and Jimmy, I'm sure will do the same. Thank you guys so much for listening. Another fantastic episode. NFL Hype Train, regular season, choo-choo. Legit Football Podcast. We are out.